Hi all, it's Little Bird here. I hope it's okay to make a voice recording. I have a question for Agua and Robin, or for whoever wants to help me flesh it out. It's about the scripts and the Book of Life. I remember Agua making videos, some really great videos a while ago about scripts and how we are, as avatars, we are acting out the scripts of our life. And then recently I feel like he's been building on that with talking about coming in as the starship, and on the starship we build a script in our personal book of life to come down here and interact in third dimensional reality through the roles that we've played within the script. So, and I think some of us keep in mind throughout our life to varying degrees that we are just little actors in our flesh suits playing out a script, and others completely get so immersed in their characters that they forget completely who they are outside of their role. So it would be like, a TV actor thinking that he was that character. Whereas some of us have memories, and then we start to awaken to the fact that no, actually we're not that role in the script, we're much more. So we have these scripts, this book of life that we follow, and that's our personal book of life. And I'm imagining that Pandora has her own book of life. She has a script. This entire place has its own script that we're following, and that each yuga, each epoch or yuga is a chapter in Earth, Pandora's book of life. And then I imagine Lemuria has its own book of life that it follows, and that Atlantis has its own book of life, and and so on and so on. All the lands outside of this particular realm have their own book of life and scripts that they follow. But then overall, on top of that, there would be one grand book of life for this whole Hyperborean complex, with all the concentric circles and all the, the whole toroidal field, if you will, has its own book of life. And there's all these little subplots happening, where each little realm is like its subplot playing out in the great script of this particular torus field. And then that's the grand book of life. So that's how I'm seeing it. And I'm thinking potentially, I'm not sure at what level, but certainly Pandora we've been going through chapters in the book of life, and I think maybe what's happening now, because it's so unprecedented, where we've finished the book and we're about to start a whole new book, that before it's just been chapters, which is a pretty big deal in itself, but that we're about to start a whole new book. But anyway, on to my question. Well, preamble first. I was reading the scriptures, hilarious, scriptures, and I was reading the part where Jesus was about to be crucified, and they have put the robes on him and the crown of thorns upon his head, and they're mocking him, and they're saying, if you are the Son of God, why don't you call upon your Father to come and rescue you? They're giving him one last chance to prove that he's the Son of God, and they're like, why don't you who you say who you are, call him to save you. And Jesus says, in more or less words, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically says, do you think I couldn't do that? I could call upon 12 legions of angels in an instant to be here right now. Of course I could do that. But I must fulfill the script. He says, I have to fulfill my Father's script. And, I just thought that was really interesting, that even Jesus, believing him or not, fact or fiction, fairy tale or true, it's interesting that this story says that he too had to follow the script of being here. And it's kind of connected, but I was thinking about how this place with its concentric circles is like a record, and each concentric circle is a song on the record, or a script. A song and a script is essentially the same thing. One is musical, the other could be too. And each song on the record is a concentric circle of the realm. And I'm not sure what, when you put the needle down on the record and it plays through frequency a particular song. I'm not sure what our needle per se would be, perhaps Polaris, that's playing the script of this realm. I don't know. Maybe Robin or Agua would have more insight on what the needle on the record would be for this particular realm playing the script, but I saw each place having its own song, its own script. And my question, finally, is I'm wondering, let's say we wake up within Pandora. We truly awaken out of this particular script, and we wake up to the fact that there are other realms, and that we're Hathors, or we're feline race, or we're Lemuria, whatever one we are, and we believe, okay, we've woken up. Now I know that I am from this particular race outside of Pandora, and we feel, activated. All the right DNA codes are in line, and the helixes, and we think we're fully awake. But aren't we just waking up inside another script? Isn't this like lucid dreaming, where you're dreaming within a dream, where you think you wake up in a dream, but the dream's still going, and you're like, but I just woke up, but you're actually still lying in your bed? And I'm wondering, it reminds me of the work that Jason from Archaics does, and another woman called Yellow Rose for Texas, where they talk about waking up in pods outside of this entire thing, that truly our body is just lying in these pods. Like they throw it out as potential. Obviously, they say it's not necessarily true, but they're throwing out the potential idea that we're not dreaming this up, but that we've entered this, and we got stuck, and we're just on a loop, and it's just scripts within scripts, subplots within subplots, chapters and chapters and books, and I'm like, yeah, if we wake up and realize that we're Hathors, or we're Lemurian, or we're Atlantean, wonderful, much better than the situation we're in now, but is that awake? Is that a dream within a dream? And I'm not saying that we are on pods dreaming this entire realm up. I'm not saying that. I just wonder how big it gets, and how many, who's holding the record. I'm in my song of Pandora right now, and then in my own personal song within that, but if I start to become aware of other songs on the record, that's nice, but what's outside the record is what I'm saying. I suppose it's God that's holding the record and made the record, but anyway, if anyone wants to build on that, or answer that, or have any insight on that, that would be lovely, and thanks for listening. I'm sorry it took so long, but look forward to hopefully making it to the next Zoom. Cheers.
Greetings, little bird. That was beautifully articulated. Listening to you, I get the sense that you fully understand the concepts of gnosis that we have been sharing over the years. I was particularly inspired by your insightful use of parables and metaphors to illustrate your point. Now, I shall endeavor to follow your lead as I attempt to add another layer of perspective to the questions you have posed. Now, you have asked a couple of questions, but I also feel as though you've also somewhat indirectly answered those questions. So your first question was, is it possible that every reality of experience is an illusory construct of some sort? And your second question, I believe, was, should we not be seeking to return to our original source or bodies? So, to answer your question, firstly, every reality of experience of every layer in any dimension of space and time is a matrix that has some forms of rules, laws, or scripts, as you eloquently put it. Existence cannot exist without some form of duality, and all forms of duality are in their nature illusory. There can be no happiness without sadness. There can be no up without a down. There can be no truth without a lie. There can be no light without darkness, right? So You see, this romanticized notion of a place where we can go and live happily ever after in perfection just simply doesn't exist. In fact, it cannot exist. The very point of a world or reality or an existence is to experience various spectrums of thoughts, emotions, and perspectives, or what we simply call memories. And memories are the fabric of any and every matrix. In fact, what we call our consciousness is itself a micro matrix. Our consciousness is somewhat a field of complex, interwoven memories. It's also imperative to remind ourselves that we are a field of data, memory, or consciousness. We do not have a so called original body lying asleep in some original world. We embody different bodies and different worlds. But we, as we are pure ether. We are nothingness and we are everything at the same time. We embody matter and material, right? I trust I am resonating with what I'm saying. There is only your present experience. That's another way of looking at it. There's only your present experience of reality simultaneously existing with many other timelines of reality in many other worlds and dimensions. Now, that's not to say there isn't a source or place of origin we all came from. This is the place we might call God, or source code, or source, or the cosmic womb, or the morphogenetic field. There are all these different names that are assigned to this original place. However, this place of origin is not as romantic as many fantasize it to be. In fact, it's overwhelmingly unexciting, right? I'm going to say that again. This place we call God or source or the cosmic womb is in fact overwhelmingly unexciting. Think of it as a baby inside a mother's womb before it's birthed, right? It's not very exciting. It's very limiting inside that womb. That's the same space. That's the womb, right? Another way of looking at it is if you were to return to what we might call this place called source or the cosmic womb or this morphic field, and you became one with that field again, you would cease to exist. Your individual matrix of memories would be assimilated into that void or dark space of nothingness and everythingness, at which point nothing would matter. You literally wouldn't matter. Now, here's a parable of my own to further illustrate my point. Imagine, muse me for a moment. Imagine the ocean with its vast bodies of water. Now imagine some of these waters flow away from the ocean to create rivers and lakes. The rivers and lakes flow into creeks and ponds. Now imagine out of these creeks and ponds, we took out pots of water, which we used to brew various flavors of tea. And we poured these pots of teas into individual cups of varying shapes, sizes, and colors, and adding various sweeteners to suit our individual tastes. Now let's imagine we then float these cups of tea into the creeks, ponds, rivers, and lakes. So you see, the ocean is like the source of all consciousness assimilated into one body. The rivers and lakes are like universes that have formed from the ocean and created their own unique ecosystems of consciousness. The creeks and ponds are like different worlds, and the pots of tea are like races of beings, if you like, that exist within the worlds. The individual cups of tea are obviously you and me, the self, floating and sailing through the various worlds, changing the flavor of our tea as we shift from one cup to another, one world to another. Every cup of tea is unique in its flavoring and quantities. Some cups have a lot of flavor, and other cups are bland. Some cups are cracked and constantly leaking tea back into the waters they flow in. And some cups are constantly adding more flavor and topping themselves up, remolding their cups as they float along. Now, if you took a cup of tea out of a lake or pond and poured that cup back into the original ocean, would that cup of tea still be a cup of tea? Of course not. That particular blend of tea would no longer exist. It would be diluted into the ocean forever. Such is the plight of those seeking to return to the ocean of source consciousness. To do so would be to cease to exist and just be one with the vast ocean of potential waters of tea. A clean and pure cup of tea does not seek to lose its unique blend by deleting and diluting itself into the ocean. It seeks to always refine its unique blend, constantly adapting and evolving itself within whatever body of waters it finds itself in. Only toxic blends of tea will yearn to delete and dilute their unique blend into the ocean to start all over again. Now, when you become the alchemist, blending your own tea and molding your own cup, it no longer matters what pond, creek, river, or lake you are in. You simply row your cup of tea merrily down the stream, enjoying every moment of the experience in anticipation of the next. If you find yourself in a pond, river, or lake of toxic waters, don't worry about it. You can't change things you don't have control over. The tides of the ocean will clean those toxic waters. What you need to do is simply focus on your cup of tea, and all will be well. Greetings and salutations. I trust I find you well.